Have you ever watched someone on YouTube posting their highlights and you thought, I don't think that guy's really a 4.0? Well, this video is for you. It all started with this YouTube comment that I saw from another person's channel critiquing my partner and I's doubles tournament in the 3.5 level. Eventually he ended up apologizing, but it got me thinking, why is it that people think that they can talk about other people's DUPRs? Meet Rory. This is the guy behind Pickleball Pick Apart, and he has a DUPR of 3.538. All of his content involves taking people's videos, often without citing the video from the original channel, and he goes through and critiques the player's gameplay, and his comment section is filled with people who have adopted this attitude of thinking that they're able to determine the actual DUPR of players based on watching the video of their gameplay. Oftentimes, a lot of these people tend to think that pickleball should be played in a specific way. Generally, they think that it's just all about the soft game and dinking only, and anytime they see players driving the ball or quote-unquote playing like bangers, they never hesitate to call them subpar players. They think that they aren't students of the game, and they express general frustration with the state of pickleball according to what they see. So how can we be better than these viewers and know how to determine someone's level? So this is a little chart that I made. The bottom axis is going to chart the course of the game and your skill level at each course of the game. And then this is on the left side, this is going to be your DUPR or your corresponding skill per course of the game, right? So let's start out with John, right? Let's say at the start of the game, he's playing super well, and he's playing super well, and he is playing at like a 5.0 level, right? And then let's say that level starts to go a little bit, starts to plateau a little bit. He makes a few mistakes. Now he's hovering closer to the 4.0 level, right? And then as the game progresses, he's consistently playing between 4.0 to 4.5 all the way to the end, right? Okay, so this is John's basically like his skill level, right? If we were to try to draw a straight line to kind of see what his average skill level would be, between 5.0 and being his highest and 4.0 being his lowest, and most of the time playing 4.5, we would say that, you know, maybe he's playing around a 4.5 level, right? This would be the baseline of his skill. Okay, and then let's say that we have Rory, who starts out and he's feeling good by himself, and he's playing the best he's ever played, and he's playing at a 4.0 level, right? Oops. Playing at a 4.0 level, all right? And then he starts to feel a little confident, starts to go for more risks, and then we start to see, okay, like he's really hovering between this 2.5 level, and then he gets his head back into the game, and then he plays out the rest of it, reaching about a peak of a 3.5 level. So here we would see that, okay, like if we're tracking Rory's game with his peak at 4.0 and his depth at 2.5, maybe we would place him around this 3.25-ish level, right? This would seem to be a fair indicator for what his baseline play is, right? Now notice that when each player is playing, when we remove these baseline levels, right? Notice that at different times in the game, they're going to kind of feel a certain way about the way that they're playing, right? So at the start, John is going to be kind of feeling good about himself. He's going to be kind of remembering this 5.0 level that he's been playing, and that's going to be kind of what sticks around in his mind, right? Generally, the kind of dopamine that we get from pickleball is from the times that we do really well. Oftentimes we get frustrated on the courts, but those are kind of stuck in the moment, and what we really remember when we're playing pickleball is those times when we played really well, right? And so John is going to kind of think, okay, yeah, I can compete at a 5.0 level because I've reached this 5.0 peak before, right? Even though we said that his baseline was closer to the 4.5, 4.75 level, right? And so his baseline is going to be, closer to here, maybe. right? For Rory, he's going to think, oh yeah, like I'm definitely a 4.0 player, and so this is kind of because he's remembering this peak, right? He may feel frustrated when he gets to this point, but usually the frustrations get dealt with in the heat of the moment, and we only remember the peaks that we have. And so even though Rory's baseline is really going to be closer to like a 3.25, let's say, what he's going to remember is when he played as a 4.0 player, and he's going to think that, yeah, I'm definitely a 4.0 player. As I watch other people play, they're not pulling off the things that I could pull off, right? And so this is where you might start to think that you're playing at a certain level and that you're using your peaks to compare with someone else's baseline. But notice that these peaks are a lot higher than the baselines usually, and that's how it should be. If your peaks were constant, then your peaks would be your baseline. And so let's say we have a kind of third person, and I didn't plan for this earlier, but let's say the whole game, this guy is just a robot, right? And he only plays, he's 100% consistent, he only plays at this 4.0 level, right? So notice that this line actually is underneath Rory's peak, right? And so Rory, thinking about his peak, will say, oh, I could definitely beat this guy who's playing at the 4.0 level, right? And so he might have this mental model in his mind that he is comparable to a 4.0 player, or that this player doesn't deserve to be 4.0, right? And this 4.0 player might see a recording of John playing and see at this area towards the middle of the game where John kind of dips into 4.0 territory, he might think, oh, is this guy really rated 4.5, which is what his baseline would indicate? I'm a 4.0, like I know I could definitely beat him, right? And so the problem with overestimating ourselves comes from this. We're comparing our peaks to other people's baselines because it's really hard to track baselines, and oftentimes we're comparing our peaks to other people's dips, right, or other people's valleys. And so when we do this, we get an inappropriate estimation of our own ability as well as the abilities of other people, right? A lot of gameplay reviewers like to pick apart gameplay and slice and dice different time periods without taking into account the fact that pickleball is a holistic game. We're not looking at point by point what's being played, but we're looking at overall, how do these points play out and how do they affect each player as they play out over the course of the game. And this is the fundamental mistake that people make when they watch other people play on YouTube. They'll be zeroed in on how that particular player played during a particular point, and that's all they're going to use as a reference for whether or not that player should be rated what they're rated. When it comes to evaluating themselves, they'll remember the particular peaks that they had, and then they'll use that to evaluate themselves and consider that this is what I should be rated at when it comes to my DUPR. So how are we supposed to overcome this temptation to underrate other people or overrate ourselves? One of the handiest way to do this is just to record yourself playing the game, right? Ideally, you want to record yourself playing the game where you're playing at your best level, you think. Here, we're kind of just having some fun with some friends, and so it'd be really hard to gauge accurately what our DUPR should be based off of this gameplay. But you want to record yourself often, right? I think in this age of social media, people are recording themselves who aren't trying to be influencers. It's a more common thing to try to record each other to be able to get a better sense of, the areas that we need to improve, and it allows us to view our own game objectively. You might find that when you watch yourself on the videotape, you actually don't look the same as you do in your mind. And so this is the best way that I can think of in order for us to overcome the temptation to underrate people we see on YouTube or overrate ourselves without having seen ourselves play. Well, that's all for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you are able to go out and record your games, and I'll see you in the next lesson of the week.